Hello, welcome to the Knitting with Cat Hair podcast. My name is Nikki. I am also known as Knitting with Cat Hair on Instagram and Cat Hair Knitting on Ravelry. I am coming to you from the city of Greater Sudbury, which lies atop the traditional lands of the Tagamashing Anishinaabe people, where I live with my partner, our 2 daughters, and our 5 cats. Hence the name of the podcast, as I'm always finding cat hair in my knitting. So big warm welcome to all new viewers and a big welcome back to all returning viewers. I very much appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend with me. This is my mostly knitting podcast. However, sometimes I talk about some of the other crafts that I'm getting into, such as cross stitch, crochet, embroidery, spinning, natural dyeing, etc. So today on the podcast, I have some knitting, some spinning, some embroidery, and I think that's it. So let's just jump right on in. So first off, I'm going to start with one admin thing, because our Beal Along, our Jennifer Beal Make Along, has now come to an end. So it started last year and it ran for a year, and it ended September 30th. So I did go ahead and draw 2 winners from the hashtag Beal Along. All you had to do was knit a Jennifer Beal pattern and post pictures of it on Instagram using the hashtag. So I'm so excited to announce that the 2 winners are Knit Granny Knit, who knit the Juniper Brook, beautiful Juniper Brook sweater, and she actually finished hers. And the other winner is Jo Lior, who was making the Stephenville Crossing. I'll put pictures in of both of the projects so you can see what they looked like. And the winners have already been contacted on Instagram, and the prizes have been doled out, and I am under the impression that both of them have spent their gift certificates on Yarny goodness. Okay, so with that, I've been doing a lot of thinking about what my next make-along might be. And I did have a few suggestions, some in the comments on the last video and also some over on Instagram. And so there were 2 really great ideas that I really wanted to kind of follow through with. So I'm thinking of doing, instead of a year long, I'm going to split it up and do 6 months for one make along, and then we'll start the other one in 6 months and do another 6-month make along. So basically, for purely selfish reasons, because I've already purchased yarn and have a project in mind, I'm going to be starting with a Colourwork cal, and I think we'll keep it to stranded Colourwork. I'm going to call it Stranded Cal, hashtag Stranded Cal over on Instagram. Yeah, so we'll start with that, and then in 6 months' time, we will be starting a nature make-along, a nature-inspired make-along, and I haven't come up with a hashtag for that one yet, so I'll announce that when it gets closer to the start. But for now, let's use the Stranded Cal hashtag, and so any stranded knitting, I'm trying to figure out, should we have it so we have to finish it? I think we should have to finish our projects this time. So, and it can be anything. It could be an accessory, it could be a larger project, what have you, as long as it involves stranded color work. Okay, so that's it for the admin things, I think. Yeah, and we're gonna move into the making talk. But first I'll start with what I am wearing. So today, because it's so fall-like, and obviously I'm filming outside, so apologies for any ambient noise, but I am wearing my Swallowtail, very autumnal, done up in very autumnal colors. I think this was the first Colourwork sweater I ever knit for myself, and it was definitely a trial and error. This is the sweater that led me to understand that when I do Colourwork, I have to go up 2 needle sizes when I'm doing the stranded part, and then I go down 2 needle sizes for stockinette. So this was actually, although you might think that just doing a yoked sweater is easier, I actually found it more difficult because, like I said, there was such a change in my gauge. So yeah, anyways, those were lessons learned. I had to reknit the whole, this portion of the body. Here, I'll stand up so you can see. There's Colourwork at the bottom too. So I had to reknit all of this because it was way too large. And same with the sleeves. So, but I'm very happy with it now. It fits very nicely and I love the colors. I wear this one. This is probably my 2nd most worn knit of all time. Okay. Oh, and this is a pattern by Amy Christoffers, I think. Is it? No. And sorry. And this is a pattern by Jamie Hoffman. Knitosophy. Okay, so let's move into finished objects. So if you were here for my last episode, you'll see that I was working on a series of Christmas stockings because I had finished the 4 for our immediate family, and then I wanted to do some for the grandparents as well. So I had started my mom's, and now I've finished it. So I've not washed and blocked any of these, so they do look a little wonky, but this is hers. Her name is Lori, and her name just barely fit. I kind of had to wrap the letters around a little bit. But yeah, this is hers. I really love this pattern. So all done, just needs the lining just like the others, and she's going to be here to help me over Christmas, I guess in December, help me line all my stockings before Christmas. And then I went ahead and cast on and finished my stepdad's stocking. So this is his, Dawn. Very lovely. Yes, so I'm happy. Okay, I'm done. I am done all the stockings. There's no more to be made. And if and when, hopefully not too soon, we ever have any grandchildren, I would probably make stockings for them as well, matching ones. So yes, so all 6 are done and just need the lining, as I mentioned, and I knit them all out of Briggs & Little Sport, which is a Canadian yarn. It's quite rustic. It's a single ply, so I'm interested to see how this is going to hold up, but it seems like it's very it's quite like tightly spun, so I'm hoping it's going to be pretty durable. And I used the colors. This was maroon, and then the white is called washed white, and I used the same white for this one, and then the green on this one is called green heather. And I showed it last time, but I'll show it again for any new viewers if it shows up. This is a heathered yarn, this one, and it's got tons of little colors, specks of colors, and it's so pretty. So the stockings themselves are knit toe up. I think I used, what is it, Jenny's, I forget the name of it. The method, it wasn't the Turkish cast on, although that was recommended in the pattern. I did try to do that and I just couldn't seem to get the hang of it. So I just used the regular toe up method that I generally use. And then you do this a little border, and you can choose from several different designs, and her patterns have a bunch of different designs depending on which pattern you're looking at to choose from. And then there's Colourwork on the top of the sock or stocking. And then on the bottom, there's also Colourwork, but it's a Piri pattern. And so the only thing that I think I did differently is that in the original, I think this whole column was left out. So they didn't bother to do like any kind of half of the Piri pattern. And I just found like it was a big empty space and I didn't like the look of it. So I added in like basically whenever there would have been another one appearing, I added it in. So it just kind of filled that space. And then there's a little heel flapping gusset on there. And then you knit the Colourwork again. And then when you get to the top, so you put a band here, you do the name in duplicate stitch. I went back and did it in duplicate stitch, which I have to say, I absolutely love duplicate stitch. It's like a magic as well. I really enjoyed it. Once I got the hang of it, it took me a little bit of time, but I found a good tutorial that really helped me get my stitches look nicer. So I'll link that tutorial down below as well. I think I might have put it on my project page, but just in case I didn't, I'll put it down below. And then, so at the top you do another band, and then you go ahead and knit one round of purl stitches. And that just helps, it helps when you knit the kind of the inside of the cuff. It helps it fold in. Now you don't have to do this. This is in the pattern, but you don't have to do that. But I liked how kind of filled out and more substantial it made the cuff look. So it just gives it a little more support. And I will be going in and adding in some kind of hanger, maybe like I-cord or something like that off of the corner so that it can, maybe not I-cord. I think that's too stretchy maybe. Anyways, I'll add something so they can be hung. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to be doing lining, sewn lining with some kind of like maybe satiny type fabric. I did catch all my floats on the inside, but I think it's a good idea to have a liner just to protect the stitches so they don't get, nothing gets caught on them, or, and also the stocking kind of can stay nice in there. You never know. Anyways, all done and happy and ready for Christmas. And that's it for the Christmas knits. I always toy with the idea of making a Christmas sweater, and I can never decide on which one, and so I never do it. This is like the stockings. It took me forever to decide. So anyways, that's okay. I can live without a Christmas sweater. So those are my 2 finished objects. Knitting wise, I also have, actually maybe we'll break it up. I'll talk about the knitting first, and then we'll move into other crafts, just in case you're only here for the knitting. Okay, so in terms of new projects, because I had like nothing on the needles basically. I have a few blankets. I'm trying to think. I have no garments. Everything's done. So I was free to cast on. So I went stash diving and cast on something that I have had in my favorites probably since the first time I saw this pattern way back when I started using Ravelry. It may not have even been on Ravelry. I can't remember where I first saw it, and it's a classic. And I know there's lots of people out there who are overly sick of petite knit patterns, and I get it. You see them a lot, but there's a reason. They're kind of classic. So anyways, I've loved the Sunday cardigan for forever. Oh, hello. There's a little red squirrel. I don't know if he's going to make an appearance. Oh, no, he's running away. Sorry, I have to check rustling sounds just to make sure there's nothing potentially ominous. I'll talk about that later. But anyway, so yes, I wanted to make the Sunday cardigan, and I actually won the pattern in a giveaway over on the Million Style podcast, which is by my dear friend Amelia. She hasn't podcasted in a little while, but I will put a link down below to her podcast should you wish to check her out. I've mentioned her a couple times in the past too. So I won that pattern from her, and then I went and when I won it, I think it was, I don't know, it must have been over a year ago. I can't recall, but I immediately went ahead and ordered yarn for it. So I am knitting mine up out of Let Lopi and 2 strands of Drops Kid Silk. And this is what I have so far. Let's see, where's the right side? Is here. So you go ahead and you cast on with smaller needles and do a bunch of 1x1 ribbing. And then the intention, as I read ahead afterwards, because it was like knit for 10 centimeters, 4 inches. And I was like, whoa, that's big ribbing. Like, why? I looked in the pattern and I'm like, it doesn't appear to be that big. Why is it so long? And then I realized, because I've never done this before, but I realized that it was because you're going to be folding it over. So it's going to be a folded collar. So it'll only be half the size. So I guess it would look more like this. And then you go into this increasing ribbing. I'm not going to give away the pattern because it is a paid for pattern. It's very simple. I will say if you don't like to purl, this is not the project for you. There is an awful lot of purling. If you don't like ribbing, it's also not the project for you. But I don't mind either of those. So I'm enjoying it. Yeah. So I've only been working on this for, I think, 2 days. Hasn't been too long. I just recently cast it on, but it's nice because it's more of a mindless knit. Once you get once you do the increase round, it's just following patterns. So it's quite straightforward so far. And yeah, I like the texture. It's cushy, it's cozy. I think it's going to be a really nice addition to my wardrobe. And this is the second petite knit pattern that I've knit. Oh, I will say also this one, not size inclusive. It only goes up to, I think, an extra large. Anyways, I'm knitting the largest size. It's not great for sizing, which is really unfortunate. I feel like it could be easily adjusted so far though, just by adding more repeats of the ribbing in, at least for now. I don't know what happens later on, but because I didn't read ahead that far. But anyways, yes, I'm very much enjoying it, and I'm knitting mine on size 10 for the ribbing, US 10, which is 6 millimeter for the cuffs ribbing, I should clarify, because the whole body is or half the body's ribbing. And then the other part I'm using 10.5, which is a 6.5 millimeter. So it should knit up pretty quickly, being that it's quite thick. So let Lopi is an Aran or worsted weight, and then you add in 2 strands of mohair. So I don't know, is that like kind of like probably like a bulky weight? Anyways, it shouldn't take too long, which is good because I'll want to cuddle up with it in the colder weather. So that's that for the first new cast on. I only have 2, and really I haven't cast on the second one. I just swatched for it. So a little while ago, maybe a month ago or so, I saw on Instagram a picture of a cardigan called the Agnes Kofta. And I'd never heard of it before, and I'd never heard of the designer before. So I thought, I'm going to check this out. So I looked into her and discovered that she's got a slew of patterns, and including a book that's in English as well. So I think she is, you know what? I don't remember what nationality she is. I first wanted to say Norwegian, but I could be wrong. Her style seems very similar to kind of like a Sissel Hoyevik style, so I'm not sure. But anyways, her name is Kristin Wiola Odegard, and she has a book called 1 Year with Wiola Cardigans, and I'll pop it in. I'll pop in the link as well down below so you can check it out yourself. Size is not great. I have to say the size, again, not super size inclusive, but it does have a lot of different patterns in there. It's not just cardigans, there's some accessories as well and some sweaters. But yeah, they're all really pretty. So I decided I really wanted to make the Agnes Kofta, and there's 2 versions in the book. So there's a light version, which is beautiful. It's stunning on its own. And then there's the dark version, which is the one that I really wanted to make. So I did go ahead and order yarn as much as I could, because it calls for Rama phenol, but it also calls for a couple other, is this the one? I think this is the one that had Rama PT5 in it or something like that I'd never heard of, and I couldn't seem to get it anywhere in Canada. So I did end up ordering my yarn. In fact, I couldn't get all the colors I needed from any one shop in Canada. So I just ended up ordering from the Woolly Thistle in the United States, which carries the most beautiful yarns. It's such an amazing shop, and I could just shop from them and probably be happy for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, they're in the States, and so there's, our Canadian dollar is not worth nearly as much as your American dollars are. So there's that factor. And then there's shipping. Unfortunately, it's not free shipping. I mean, I did expect to get charged some custom or duty fees, but I didn't expect the amount that, I ended up having to pay $130 for customs. So let's just say this might be the most expensive sweater that I've ever made. And unfortunately, I won't, I can't afford to do that. I can't afford to order from the Woolly Thistle again. And I feel really bad because I'd love to, but Anyways, you guys in the US are very lucky to have that store. Okay, so I'm making the Agnes Kofta. Like I said, I ordered, I had to replace some of the PT5, couldn't find that. So I tried to do my best to replace some colors, and I will show you my swatch now. So hopefully you can see all the colors. And yes, that really is as blue as it looks. And if you've been around for a while, you know that I'm not a fan of blue. So I went ahead and ordered a replacement color from the Knitting Loft here in Canada to replace this blue, because I wanted it to be more of a turquoise, like more greeny as opposed to blue. And I'm also thinking of switching around some of the colors. I'm not sure. I'm not wholly enamored with it. I mean, it's kind of pretty, but I think because a lot of the colors are very solid and not heathered. The heathered colors I really like. I especially like the heathered colors. I find they blend in much nicer, but then these solid ones just kind of stand out more for me. Anyway, I'm probably being too fussy, whatever. And then the other thing is you're supposed to knit the whole body in this dark brown color, which in the picture looks more like rusty colored, and I was totally shocked when this color arrived and it was like completely not the color I thought it was going to be. But I did really like this color, so I went ahead and ordered replacements for this. It's not like I would never use the brown. It's a really pretty color. I just don't want to, I think because I want to make the yellow, and I've done a swatch for that as well, and it's dark brown and cream as well. I just didn't want to have two cardigans that had the same kind of main colors. So I'm thinking I'm just going to do the rust and cream. So yeah, that is my swatch. Okay, but now I've swatched, I've washed and blocked it, and now I've discovered that, again, similar to the Sitzel Hoivik that I was trying to make that I swatched for, my gauge is too tight. Even though I'm a loose knitter, my gauge is way too tight. Like, I think I'm off by 4 or 5 stitches per 4 inches, which is a big deal. And I really like the fabric that this gave me. I did swatch it on the original called for needle size, which I think was a US 4. I think that's a 3.5 millimeters, but I can't recall for sure. Anyways, so I really do like the gauge, and if anything, I would go down in needle size, but there's no way. So that's going to take some finagling too, because I think I was making the largest size in this one as well. So I don't know what to do. I might have to just try and fudge it with some numbers. If I turn out loving the colors, that blue's really throwing me off. It's way too bright for me. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you like the blue? I have also seen this, a bunch of people all of a sudden are making this. And I don't know if there's a make along. I thought I saw it on the Woolly Thistle. Oh no, it was Fibre Trek's latest. I haven't watched her latest because I'm still working my way through her back episodes. But I thought I saw she did an interview with Corinne from the Woolly Thistle, and they were holding up the Agnes Kofta, which is hilarious. Now it's just everywhere. I don't know. I'm not usually a trend follower, but maybe in this case I am. All right, so that is it for all of my works in progress, if you can even call that a work in progress. So I do have some other crafts to talk about. So I have been busy spinning on my new wheel, and I've been very much enjoying it. And so I showed in my last episode that I had started working on the ILD France, which the sheep looks like this. So I have a breed study. For those who don't know, I have a breed study that I ordered last year when I started drop spinning. from Longway Homestead. So every month I got one package of fiber in the mail from a breed specific sheep from a different farm across Canada. So now I'm finally putting it to use. So this was my ILD France. Come closer. Spin. So I'm definitely getting thinner and a little more consistent at this point, so that's great. I have washed this and soaked, so it smells nice. So there is 115 grams and approximately 191 yards, and it's a 2-ply. I didn't do the wraps per inch, but judging by the numbers, it's probably like a DK-ish weight. Yeah. So that's that. What can I say about that? I'm trying to remember how it felt when I spun it. It was nice. I don't think I didn't really have any issues with it. No, I didn't. No, it was good. But then I went on to my next one. And I was just pulling out randomly out of my stash of the white ones. I'm trying to spin up the white ones, which I find are perhaps a little more, not quite as exciting to me as the colored ones are, like the ones that are gray or brown. So the next one I worked on was the Clune Forest. Look how cute. With a little black face. And this was amazing. Spun up like a dream. I think I spun it up, the whole thing of fiber, in 2 sittings. It was just amazing. The staple length was so long that like I could just like like I didn't have to really pay much attention to it. And if I would have been kind of better at that point, I feel like I could have spun it a lot thinner. I probably could have got lace weight singles out of it. But I'm still getting there. So this one I think turned out more of a DK as well, and it's so soft, and there's this beautiful sheen to it. I don't know if that's coming up on there, but it's gorgeous, so bouncy. I love, love, love. This is like, I feel like this would be so good for a beginner because it was so long. I don't know if you can see how long that is. But yeah, it was like spun like a dream. So I can see when Sarah from Fibre Truck talks about loving to spin long wools, I can see why. My gosh, they're so fantastic. So yes, this so far has been my absolute favorite. And this is 99 grams, approximately 213 yards, 2-ply. And the Clune Forest, is this the one? They're a breed made from a mix of Shropshire and Ryland. Yeah, very nice. Okay, and so now I don't have it to show you because it's still on the bobbin and I left it attached, but I'm now working on a targi. And so going from the Clune Forest, which was had a really long staple length and was really like easy to spin, all of a sudden I'm working with the targi, which is a mix of Rambouillet and Corriedale. So Rambouillet is like a French merino, so it's a shorter staple, and then the Corriedale isn't as short, so it's okay. But I was finding it was having such a hard time, it was breaking on me because I was so used to the long stapled one before that. So it was a bit of a struggle to get going, but I'm going great now, and I'm actually seems like I'm spinning at a lace weight. I always think I'm spinning so thin, and then I get it off the bobbin and plied together and washed, and it plumps up, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden it's like super bulky, and you're like, what happened? I thought this was going to be a fingering weight, but I'll get there. So yes, I've been having so much fun spinning. I find it very enjoyable, very relaxing. I really like to put some of the slower making podcasts on while I'm spinning. It just goes along with the kind of the ambiance of the slowness. So I'm really enjoying it. Okay, so that's it for spinning. And then I also went ahead and dug out an old embroidery piece that I've been working on probably like 20 years. And I think I mentioned this in the past episode, but so I am literally finishing up the last quarter of this. So I'll come closer. So it's got a bunch of blackwork, and each section of blackwork is done in a different color. And then the kind of the Celtic cross knots or what have you are done in cross stitch. So I originally started my foray into kind of crafting in cross stitch. Cross stitch was my big passion. I loved to cross stitch in my younger years, and and then at some point I just put it away. I think when I started knitting, I think also my eyes started getting worse at a certain point, and it just became more difficult. But now that I have I did purchase one of those lamp lights that has a magnifier on it, and did I say lamp lights? Lap lights is what I meant. So it goes across your lap and it magnifies what you're working on. So that really helps. Also working in the daylight really helps. So I'm really enjoying getting back into this, and I'd like to have it finished soon so I could frame it and actually put it up. I'll show you what the finished project looks like, and I'll tell you what the name of it is. And I don't know if it's still available, but I'll look and see. And if it is, I'll put a link obviously down below. So it's by a company called Ink Circles. And the name of this particular pattern is called Blackstone Fantasy Garden. I'm gonna take it out so there's no glare. I'm just gonna take it out of the plastic. Oh, it's a picture. And so this is what the finished piece will look like. Yeah. And they're all hand-dyed threads by Carrie's Creations. And I don't know, again, if she's still in business, but again, I'll put a link down below if she is. And I think this my first time? This might have been my very first time. It's funny how you progress through your crafts, right? You start off with basic materials, and then you discover that there's a whole world of like hand dyers out there, just like in knitting. So the same thing for threads. Oh, chipmunk. I don't know if you saw that on the camera. Okay, I will worry about that later. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So like I said, I'm using one strand of the thread for the black work, 2 strands of thread for the cross stitch part. And that is that. Okay, in terms of acquisitions, my mom was here last weekend. Yep, last weekend for Thanksgiving. I'll talk about that at the end, and we went to Valley Village, which is a thrift store here in our town, and did I get it all there? Oh, I forgot to bring something out. Okay, anyways, we went to Value Village, and I ended up picking up, we looked through the sweaters, because we try to remember, don't always remember. First we go to the yarn section, look there. One time there was like a big find of like a bunch of mohairs and alpaca and angora and stuff like this. So, you know, we had our big haul or whatever, but this time around there wasn't really much. I did end up getting some wool threads that you can use for embroidery, just in this pretty sagey green color. And a whole bunch of little mini cottons that are very, very fine for doing. I'm going to use them for amigurumi should I choose to do that. Yeah, because I made this little fish as per my mom's request. Was that last year? I think it was last year. This little fish. So I had bought all these tiny little crochet hooks so I could make this. And so now I have like all the different colors. I'm not a huge amigurumi person, but I've seen some cute things out there. So, and that was $2 for all of those. Couldn't resist. I know the wool thread was more expensive. It was like $9 for these wool threads. I don't know why they were so expensive. And then we found this beautiful sweater from Le Chateau, $15.99, but it's Angora. I think it's like 80% Angora, 20% nylon. And so I've been slowly trying to take it apart. It is knit so finely. Can you see? I don't know if that's picking up how tiny the stitches are. Oh, but you can see the floof. It is so, so soft. And because I have that other Angora that I got from Value Village a little while ago, I thought a cream would be really nice because I haven't found anything to knit with that other one yet. It's a turquoise. And so I thought, or a teal, cream and teal would be really nice. So yeah, I'm painstakingly trying to take this apart, and I've gotten, I don't know, I've got a couple seams open, and I haven't actually unraveled any yarn yet. I'm just getting the seams open. So this could be, and I hope it doesn't, like I don't find out that everything's been cut and then it's all just little pieces, because that would be really not fun. And I'm not great enough at understanding if I can tell that it's been cut. I'm sure someone with a better eye than me could tell. I'm hoping it's all knit in pieces. So anyways, that's another project that I'm working on. Oops, I forgot I was swatching for something. Well, not really swatching for anything in particular, but just swatching in general. So this is the mohair that I got. It's going to show up blue. It's more of a greeny teal color that I got from that Value Village find. And I paired it with this. It's just really beautiful on its own right. It is a green, a heathered green from Briggs & Little. I think it's called Fur, the color. But I wanted to see if I could make the green more tealy. So I have been adding the mohair to it. And I really like it. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. The squirrel is now chirping at me because I stood up. But yeah, I don't know what I'm going to make with this. I think I'm going to wash and block it, and then I'm going to check my gauge, and then I'm going to use the feature on Ravelry that you can use to search by gauge, so I can find a project that will fit this. But yeah, it looks so pretty. I mean, the green is really pretty on its own, but adding that that turquoise color just makes it look so pretty. And that, I believe, is it for all the making talk. I'm just gonna look at my notes and see if I missed anything. No, it looks like I got everything. So now we're on to life stuff. But if you were only here for the making talk, thank you so much for spending time with me. I really do appreciate it. And if you did like the video, please do give it a like and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And yeah, for those of you choosing to stick around, I guess one of the most exciting news that we had was we had bears the other day. So that's what I meant about kind of listening for crackling sounds behind me. I just want to make sure there's nothing, sneaking up. I worked for the Ministry of Natural Resources for many years, and we always did bear training. We were out in the bush and stuff like that. So I'm not afraid of bears, like black bears especially. Grizzly bears, different story, but black bears, no. So I kind of understand some of their behaviors. And we were lucky. So it was a mama and her two cubs. The cubs were they looked like they were not young of the year. I think they were like a year old, so they were bigger. They were not little baby ones or anything like that, but they were up on our deck, and they got into our recycle bin. It's our fault for leaving our recycle bin out. But so we heard this like rustling, this clanging sound, and as soon as we got to the patio door and she saw us, she just bolted and got the cubs running. Like, they just took off right away, which is really great, because you want bears to be afraid of humans. You don't want them to be accustomed to them, because that's when, you know, those human bear conflicts happen, and it doesn't usually end up well for the bears. So I was really glad to see that she was afraid. So it's good. So she took off with her cubs, and I haven't seen her since. But yeah, it's nice. Wildlife. I love it. I love it. So that was exciting. And then last weekend, like I mentioned, was Thanksgiving, and we entertained our very first dinner in our new house, with a table that could fit everybody, and it was awesome. It was really, really lovely. Such a nice visit, and I'm really looking forward. So my mom and stepdad are gonna come stay with us as soon as the weather gets too bad for them to get into their place safely, back and forth or whatever. So they're gonna come stay with us. So probably November. I hope in November, because I don't want to have a repeat of last year where we had 0 snow on Christmas. 0 snow. It was foggy on Christmas. It was the worst. I don't want to see that again. That's not good for anybody. I know people are like, oh, but I don't want snow. But like, when your climate is changing that drastically, that's not a good thing. That's very bad. It's very bad for the environment and the animals that rely on cold temperatures and stuff like that. Anyways, so let's hope we have a more normal winter this year. Yeah, so that's that. We've got the last of our furniture arrived in the last week. I ordered some cubbies, I guess, to store my yarn in. I got one, and my daughter got one for her room to store her stuff. And I got mine put together and quickly realized that there was no way in hell that all of my yarn was going to fit in this one cubby. I have too much. It's not good. So I'm going to have to figure out something. I think I'm going to downsize my yarn stash somehow. or buy more cubbies. It's just I don't know if they'll fit. So anyway, so I haven't got my craft room in order yet, because it's a disaster now, because I took all the yarn out and threw everything everywhere. Prioritized the yarns I wanted to fit in the cubbies and left the others out. Anyways, but the nice thing is the stuff that I have out, I can see, and I'm like, holy crap, I didn't realize I had so much unspun. I can make I could probably make like 5 or 6 sweaters out of the unspun I have. So it's giving me ideas, and now I can see all the colors together. I can start to think about, you know, of course it's going to be color work more often than not. It's going to be a color work sweater, but yeah, I can kind of play with colors and see if there's something I like. And I've seen on Instagram, I think her handle is Wild Seal. I'll put it here. She is making one of those Beekeepers quilts. I don't know if you've heard of them. They were a pretty big pattern at one point, I think. I've never made one, but they're basically just a bunch of little hexagons, but they're knit. They're knit in, I don't know if they're knit in the round, but you can stuff them. So they're like little pockets, and you can put like stuffing in them, and it makes it cozy and squishy or whatever, and then you can sew all these little hexagons together and make a blanket. Anyways, she is making hers out of Nutiden, and what she's doing, which I think is so brilliant, is she is marling all different colors. So she'll take, like, let's say, I think she's taking like a green, let's say 2 strands of a green to knit it, and then the next hexie she'll take 1 strand of the green and then 1 strand of another color, let's say a yellow, and knit that together. And then she'll do 2 strands of a yellow, and then she'll have that hexie. So they're all like so subtly marled and beautiful, and I'm really tempted to do the same thing, but I don't want to do that now. I want to do that after, when I have leftovers from my knitted in or my unspun. You could do that with Plotulopi or Manchalopi or Briggs and Little unspun. Any of the unspuns, I think they just look so cool, so cozy, squishy. Yeah. So trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to mention. I know I had a whole list, and now I've completely forgotten. A whole list in my head is no good. I have to write it down. Okay, so I'm not going to ramble on, so I'm going to leave it there. And I just wanted to wish you all the most wonderful next 3 weeks. I hope that it's filled with lots and lots of making, and I will see you then. Bye. Happy making.